Good morning. Today's Bible reading comes from Genesis 22 through 24. So let's get into it. And we are reading in the Message Bible. Some people call it the Parallel Bible because lots of times it comes with NIV right next to the Message Bible, and I have Parallel Bible, so that's what I'm reading out of. After all this, God tested Abraham. God said, "Abraham." "Yes," answered Abraham, "I am listening." He said, "Take your dear son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I'll point out to you." Abraham got up early in the morning and saddled his donkey. He took 2 of his young servants and his son Isaac. He had split wood for the burnt offering. He set out for the place God had directed him. On the 3rd day he looked up and saw the place in the distance. Abraham told his 2 young servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I are going over there to worship, then we'll come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and gave it to his son Isaac to carry. He carried the flint and the knife. The 2 of them went off together. Isaac said to Abraham his father, "Father?" "Yes, my son." "We have flint and wood, but where's the sheep for the burnt offering?" Abraham said, "Son, God will see to it that there's a sheep for the burnt offering." And they kept on walking together. They arrived at the place to which God had directed him. Abraham built an altar. He laid out the wood. Then he tied up Isaac and laid him on the wood. Abraham reached out, took the knife to kill his son. Just then an angel of God called to Abraham out of heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Yes, I'm listening." "Don't lay a hand on that boy. Don't touch him. Now I know how fearlessly you fear God. You didn't hesitate to place your son, your dear son, on the altar for me." Abraham looked up. He saw a ram caught by its horns in the thicket. Abraham took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. God named that place God Yireh. God sees to it. That's where we get the saying, "On the mountain of God, he sees to it." The angel of God spoke from heaven a second time to Abraham. "I swear, God's sure word, because you have gone through with this and have not refused to give me your son, your dear, dear son, I'll bless you. Oh, how I'll bless you. And I'll make sure that your children flourish like stars in the sky, like sand on the beaches, and your descendants will defeat their enemies. All nations on earth will find themselves blessed through your descendants because you obeyed me." Then Abraham went back to his young servants. They got things together and returned to Beersheba. Abraham settled down in Beersheba. After all this, Abraham got the news. "Your brother Nahor is a father. Milcah has given him children. Uz, his firstborn, his brother Boaz, Kemuel was the father of Aram, Gesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel was the father of Rebekah. Milcah gave these 8 sons to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine Ramah gave him 4 more children, Teba, Gahan, Tahash, and Makkah. Sarah lived 127 years old. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, present-day Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham mourned for Sarah and wept. Then Abraham got up from mourning his dead wife and spoke to the Hittites. "I know I'm only an outsider here among you, but sell me a burial plot so that I can bury my dead decently." The Hittites responded, "Why, you're no mere outsider here with us. You're a prince of God. Bury your dead wife in the best of our burial sites. None of us will refuse you a place for burial. Then Abraham got up, bowed respectfully to the people of the land, the Hittites, and said, If you're serious about helping me give my wife a proper burial, intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar. Ask him to sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns, the one at the end of his land. Ask him to sell it to me at its full price for a burial lot, with you as witnesses. Ephron was part of the local Hittite community. Then Ephron the Hittite spoke up, answering Abraham, with all the Hittites who were part of the town council, listening. Oh no, my master, I couldn't do that. The field is yours, a gift. I'll give it and the cave to you. With my people as witnesses, I give it to you. Bury your deceased wife. Abraham bowed respectfully before the assembled council and answered Ephron, Please allow me. I want to pay the price of the land. Take my money so I can go ahead and bury my wife. Then Ephron answered Abraham, If you insist, master, what's 400 silver shekels between us? Now go ahead and bury your wife. Abraham accepted Ephron's offer and paid the sum that Ephron had named before the town council of Hittites, 400 silver shekels at the current exchange rate. That's how Ephron's field next to Mamre, the field, its cave, and all the trees within its borders, became Abraham's property. The town council of Hittites witnessed the transaction. Abraham then proceeded to bury his wife Sarah in the cave in the field of Machpelah, that is, next to Mamre, present-day Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and its cave went from the Hittites into Abraham's possession as a burial plot. Isaac and Rebekah. Abraham was now an old man. God had blessed Abraham in every way. Abraham spoke to the senior servant in his household, the one in charge of everything he had. Put your hand under my thigh and swear by God, God of heaven, God of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from among the young women of the Canaanites here, but will go to the land of my birth and get a wife for my son Isaac. Servant answered, But what if the woman refuses to leave home and come with me? Do I then take your son back to your home country? Abram said, Oh no, never. By no means are you to take my son back there. God, the God of heaven, took me from the home of my father and from the country of my birth and spoke to me in a solemn promise. I'm giving this land to your descendants. This God will send an angel ahead of you to get a wife for my son. And if the woman won't come, you are free from this oath you've sworn to me. But under no circumstances are you to take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and gave him his solemn oath. The servant took 10 of his master's camels and, loaded with gifts from his master, traveled to Aram, Naharaim, and the city of Nahor. Outside the city, he made the camels kneel at a well. It was evening, the time when the women came to draw water. He prayed, O God, God of my master Abraham, make things go smoothly this day. Treat my master Abraham well, as I stand here by the spring, while the young women of the town come to get water. Let the girl to whom I say, Lower your jug and give me a drink, and who answers, Drink, and let me also water your camels. Let her be the woman you have picked out for your servant Isaac. Then I'll know that you're working graciously behind the scenes for my master. So happened that the words were barely out of his mouth when Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, whose mother was Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a water jug on her shoulder. The girl was stunningly beautiful, a pure virgin. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came back up. The servant ran to meet her and said, Please, can I have a sip of water from your jug? She said, "Certainly, drink." And she held the jug so he could drink. When he had satisfied his thirst, she said, "I'll get water for your camels too, until they've drunk their fill." She promptly emptied her jug into the trough and ran back to the well to fill it, and she kept at it until she had watered all the camels. This man watched, silent. Was this God's answer? Had God made his trip a success or not? When the camels had finished drinking, the man brought out gifts: a gold nose ring weighing a little over a quarter of an ounce and 2 arm bracelets weighing about 4 ounces, and gave them to her. He asked her, "Tell me about your family. Whose daughter are you? Is there room in your father's house for us to stay the night?" She said, "I'm the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah and Nahor, and there's plenty of room in our house for you to stay, and lots of straw and feed besides." At this the man bowed in worship before God and prayed, "Blessed be God, God of my master Abraham. How generous and true you have been to my master. You've held nothing back. You led me right to the door of my master's brother." And the girl was off and running, telling everyone in her mother's house what had happened. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban. Laban ran outside to the man at the spring. He had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister, and had heard her say, "The man said this and this and this to me." So he went to the man, and there he was, still standing with his camels at the spring. Laban welcomed him. "Come on in, blessed of God. Why are you standing out here? I've got the house ready for you, and there's also a place for your camels." So the man went into the house. The camels were unloaded and given straw and feed. Water was brought to bathe the feet of the man and the men with him. Then Laban brought forth out food. But the man said, "I won't eat until I tell my story." Laban said, "Go ahead, tell us." The servant said, "I'm the servant of Abraham. God has blessed my master. He's a great man. God has given him sheep and cattle, silver and gold, servants and maidservants, camels and donkeys." And then to top it off, Sarah, my master's wife, gave him a son in her old age, and he has passed everything on to his son. My master made me promise, "Don't get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live. No, go to my father's home, back to my family, and get a wife for my son there." I said to my master, "But what if the woman won't come with me?" He said, "God before whom I've walked faithfully will send his angel with you, and he'll make things work out so that you'll bring back a wife for my son from my family, from the house of my father. Then you'll be free from the oath. If you go to my family and they won't give her to you, you will also be free from the oath." Well, when I came this very day to the spring, I prayed, "God, God of my master Abraham, make things turn out well in this task I've been given. I'm standing at this well when a young woman comes here to draw water, and I say to her, 'Please give me a sip of water from your jug,' and she says, 'Not only will I give you a drink, I'll also water your camels.' Let that woman be the wife God has picked out for my master's son." I had barely finished offering this prayer when Rebekah arrived, her jug on her shoulder. She went to the spring and drew water and said, "Please, can I have a drink?" She didn't hesitate. She held out her jug and said, "Drink, and when you're finished, I'll also water your camels." I drank, and she watered the camels. I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" She said, "The daughter of Bethuel, whose parents were Nahor and Milcah." I gave her a ring for her nose, bracelets for her arms, and bowed in worship to God. I praised God, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me straight to the door of my master's family to get a wife for his son. Now tell me, what are you going to do? If you plan to respond with a generous yes, tell me. But if not, tell me plainly so I can figure out what to do next." Laban and Bethuel answered, "This is totally from God. We have no say in the matter, either yes or no. Rebekah is yours. Take her and go. Let her be the wife of your master's son, as God has made plain." When Abraham's servant heard their decision, he bowed in worship before God. Then he brought out gifts of silver and gold and clothing and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave expensive gifts to her brother and mother. He and his men had supper and spent the night. But first thing in the morning, they were up. He said, "Send me back to my master." Her brother and mother said, "Let the girl stay a while, say another 10 days, and then go." He said, "Oh, don't make me wait. God has worked everything out so well. Send me off to my master." They said, "We'll call the girl. We'll ask her." They called Rebekah and asked her, "Do you want to go with this man?" She said, "I am ready to go." So they sent them off, their sister Rebekah with her nurse and Abraham's servant with his men. And they blessed Rebekah, saying, "You're our sister, live bountifully, and your children triumphantly." Rebekah and her young maids mounted the camels and followed the man. The servant took Rebekah and set off for home. Isaac was living in the Negev. He had just come back from a visit to Bir Lahai-roi. In the evening, he went out into the field. While meditating, he looked up and saw camels coming. When Rebekah looked up and saw Isaac, she got down from her camel and asked the servant, "Who is that man out of the field coming towards us?" "That is my master." She took her veil and covered herself. After the servant told Isaac the whole story of the trip, Isaac took Rebekah into the tent of his mother Sarah. He married Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac found comfort after his mother's death. And that is it for today's Bible reading. As always, get in touch with God today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.